Today's show is brought to you by warbyparker.com. Get a free 5-day home try-on at www.warbyparkertrial.com/largemarge. 5 pairs, 5 days, 100% free.
Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
In the 90s, we were just teeny tykes. We went to movies and our bikes. We wanted to be DJs, but we were just teeny gals. So we went off to college and we remained best pals. 20 years later, we're still watching flicks and we're bringing you the feeling bit by bit. Sweetie and Sweetie are here to say it's the Large Marge Sent Us podcast. Hey.
Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the audience, I don't think it's fair to call my clients frauds. Okay, so the blackout was a big problem for everybody, okay? I was stuck in an elevator for 2 hours and I had to make the whole time. But I don't blame them, because one time I turned into a dog and they helped me. Thank you.
Very good, Louis. Short but pointless.
Hey guys, welcome to the Large Marge Sent Us podcast, your favorite podcast where two sweetie sisters talk about movies that shaped their childhood. I'm Sweetie.
And I'm Sweetie.
You guys, what? Guess what week it is?
Sequels week.
week!
So it's only a week, and we really only do like one episode a week. So it's only like one time we're doing this. Maybe we should just do sequels for a little while.
Oh, you want to do a bunch of sequels? That's like intimidating.
Sure.
I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like we need to
You're the one that
some originals in there.
All right, fine. It was just an idea. Never mind.
I mean, we can do like a sequels week, like once a week, a month.
Seems like a lot of pressure. It seems like more pressure. Because then if you're...
Then just to keep doing sequels?
Whatever. All right.
You cry.
So it's sequels week. So for our sequel, we decided in honor of Rondi, our father.
Yeah. So our dad's birthday is tomorrow. We'll be
Wednesday.
releasing this on his birthday. And he liked this movie. He liked it. I mean, I don't think it was like his favorite by any means, but
No, but we have a specific memory attached to this, which you will explain.
Okay.
Because I don't remember this.
Yeah,
and I don't think I was there, but you say I was, so I'll just believe you.
okay. So one of my earliest like at the theater movie memories, other than we went to see The Little Mermaid and Andre stood up on her seat and screamed out loud when Eric was marrying Ursula, "That's the wrong one!" That's probably my earliest movie memory.
My best achievement to date.
No, about the same time, because wasn't Little Mermaid 89 too? I think so, right? Because you would have been 3, and you would have gone to a movie before you were 3.
We went to
No way.
Ghostbusters 2 after The Little Mermaid.
No.
That was really
Dad
tiny.
took me to this. I don't think you were.
You kept saying you kept being like, remember it was sold out, and
Well,
I was like,
I don't
no,
know if you were
I
there.
don't remember. Yeah, 1989, Little Mermaid.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, we had this movie theater in the town next to us, Wellfleet Drive-In. I don't know, 6 screens maybe, if that. Like super tiny. Like this is way before like AMC and Regal and like all that shit.
Yeah.
So you'd go and like movies used to sell out. Like you'd be in line. There's no online ticket buying, and you'd go and wait in line. So Ghostbusters. Oh no, we didn't say which one it was.
It's all right.
Okay.
They read the title
Yeah.
of the episode, so I think they know.
Big news, guys. We just did Ghostbusters 2.
All right. Go on with the story.
Okay.
Go on.
So anyway, my dad was like so excited to see Ghostbusters 2. And guess like I was too, just like because my dad was excited. And like, I don't know if I'd seen the first one or like what. Anyway, really excited. This was a very big movie at the time. Everyone was like waiting for the sequel, right? Mm-hmm. The original one came out in 1984. So this was 5 years later. This was like a really hot anticipated sequel. So we go and we're like waiting in line, the line's moving up and stuff like that. This guy comes out and he's like, "Sorry, folks, movie's sold out. Ghostbusters 2 sold out." And we were so disappointed. I don't remember if we saw something else or we just went home, but I just remember that like crushing feeling when you're like so excited about something and then you just can't do it. You know, and like I was talking to Sweetie about how for movies that feeling isn't really like that because like you'll go online, maybe stuff will be sold out. I don't know. I feel like maybe for the Star Wars, the new ones that have come out.
Yeah, but you go online. Yeah, but you pick another day.
Yeah.
I don't know. When you're little, like your whole life revolves around this one part of the day of the time that makes sense for everybody in the family.
Right.
So when that
but
doesn't
also
work
you
out,
drove all the way down there, so
Sure.
it's like you were there to do it. It's
but I
not
also
like
want to say
you're
that
planning.
there's been several instances like that in my life where like you've been crushed. Here's the
I
best
thought you
one
meant
I
sold
can
out
think
movies.
of.
I was like, shit.
Well, my friends and I, our friend Izzy, who we've talked about before, her mother drove us to the Natick Mall to go to an autograph signing of BB Mac, and we were very excited. Even though, I mean, I didn't love BB Mac, but everybody else did, so I was like, I guess I do too. Do you remember BB Mac?
Yeah.
What was their song? Is it the one that's like, "You'll be right here, baby," something like that?
Yeah.
So, so we go to the Natick Mall. We're all excited. We get up to the doors, and there's a sign that's like, "There is no signing of BB Mac." I don't know if someone started a rumor or like
What?
they just canceled. I don't know, but we were crushed.
That's a better
Crushed.
story about a rumor mill. Like that's
right.
crazy.
So then we're like, I guess we'll just go shopping. But honestly, it was pretty sad.
about some Skechers.
No, but they did have a Delia's store at the
Ooh,
Natick Mall, which
yeah.
we were so pumped about because for that we only see it in the catalog, so it was a big deal. But anyways, I know what that feeling is like, and that happened to us recently. Remember over Christmas or Thanksgiving, we were like, let's go see Fantastic Beasts and where to find them. So the Cape has a bunch of, and a lot of cities have smaller theaters where things do get sold out, and they'll put like the paper on the door
Yes.
that says like this showing is sold out.
So it's still Cape Cod is fucking sold out movies. Like what the fuck?
Well, any smaller kind of
Yeah. And I appreciate
Small
those smaller
theater.
theaters. I really like them, but like this was like a really crushing blow. But and I'd love to remember if like my dad made it up first by going mini golfing or something cool. I don't remember. I'm sure he did. He was an awesome man. And he loved the Ghostbusters franchise. So we thought, hey, let's honor Ron Dumas, R.I.P., with this fantastic film, if you will. So yeah, Ghostbusters 2, as we said, came out in 1989.
Golden year.
Same cast, which is, I think, the hallmark of any great sequel, right? Keep the cast because that's why people want a sequel. They don't care about the fucking story. They want the characters, you know? Like, that's, we'll talk about later on what makes, I think, a really good sequel. And that is by far probably the number one thing, right?
Sure.
So yeah, so I think we should just like, this is
Stirred it up.
pretty good
Strike it up.
ghosty Ghosterson sequel.
Let's talk about the film. Strike it up.
That's pretty good. That's
Thank
pretty
you.
good. Jackie Wilson Jr.
That's not Jackie. That wasn't a Jackie Wilson
Oh,
song.
I thought you were trying to riff on
no,
the Jackie
remember
Wilson
that song in the 90s? That was like it was like they had all those
Oh.
songs with like lady.
Keep it up.
Yeah, yes. Oh, it's not Strike It Up.
Strike it up.
Okay, it might be Strike It Up.
Might
That's
be
one of
Keep It
those
Up.
songs that
Yeah.
that's on Jock Jams
could-
that we're very
you could
confused
put
about the
anything in
lyrics
there.
of.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay. So we'll start it up though for
Yeah.
real.
We'll start it up. It's the sweetie synopsis. Yeah, sweeties. That's why your love keeps on lifting me higher and higher.
Sweetie's been wanting to do that for such a long time.
I love Jackie Wilson. I had this Jackie Wilson good solid year or two where I was obsessed with him. Remember?
Yes.
It's tapered. It's tapered. Thank you.
Should it have? I mean, it's
He's
not
amazing.
like it's a bad
and
addiction.
He's untouched, and he was like an amazing performer and dancer.
Did he die
I'm
in a
gonna leave
weird
it
way?
right
Like,
there.
was he one of the ones we?
No, he did not.
Okay, whatever. All right, Ghostbusters 2. Go. The Ghostbusters are back. It is 5 years later, and they are, unfortunately, no longer hunting ghosts.
Out of business.
Ray Stantz, Peter Venkman, Egon Spengler, Winston Zeddemore now have very different lives from what they had 5 years ago.
It's soup depressing.
Soup's depressing. Egon Spengler is doing psychological experiments. Sort of not really paranormal-esque. I think they're more real science,
Yeah.
not fringe science.
He was really always the true scientist, right?
Yes. So he's doing that. Ray Stantz owns an occult bookstore. Ray's Occult Books or something. Winston,
Open till midnight on Saturdays.
I know. Wow. Is it like a coffee house? Like, what's happening?
The creeps must really come out then. Like, whoa, wouldn't do that if I were you.
Slimer just like sings all the songs. He's like, food. Winston doesn't really have a second job, except that he and Ray sometimes appear at children's birthday parties, but it doesn't seem like it's their main focus. It's not their main source of income, but that's all we got of Winston.
Right. Typical. They never flesh out Winston's character.
So racist.
Yeah, so racist.
So Peter Venkman has his own television program called The World of the Psychic or something, where he kind of, and you know, this gets confusing because just like in the first one, Peter Venkman is running a study about ESP, but not really in on it, and is kind of thinking it's all a joke, but no one else gets that except him. So it's kind of the same thing with this television program where he has these guests on that they believe they're right, but Peter's never like, haha, what an idiot. He seems to be in on it, so it's confusing for me. But that's his profession, his chosen profession. Dana Barrett, who continues her streak of really bad luck, has now given birth to a child. Has now given birth to a child, left her husband, and lives alone in New York with her child. She's wheeling her old-fashioned carriage down the street.
True.
Which I would just like to point out. I would just like to point out that old-fashioned carriages are no good, people. No good. Remember in The Witches? Same thing.
Yeah.
Old-fashioned carriage, they go, you push them a little bit.
There's no brakes on those
little
things.
nudge. You're done. It's done. It's flying off a cliff. And unfortunately, in this case, there was no Luke to save the carriage from putting her to its death. The carriage
makes bad decisions. all
rolls
around.
by itself into the street, almost gets hit by several cars. It's a very scary moment. Comes to a screeching halt above what will soon be known as, right? That's where it
that's
stopped.
where it's that was random where it stopped.
Okay, it was
didn't
random.
have
Forget
anything
it.
to do.
Forget what I said. Okay. So something's up with this baby, and his name is Oscar, and Dana's freaked. So she goes to visit her old friends, Egon,
Oh, yeah,
at
just
the
Egon,
lab.
yep.
Just Egon at the lab. He's like, all right, I'll ask Ray to help. And then she's like, don't tell Peter, because we had a romantic relationship, but then things went south. And then I got pregnant and married somebody and then divorced, so I don't want to talk to him. And he's like, okay, cool.
Not gonna happen.
I mean, these guys are not good at secrets. I would probably, they're pretty good at like catching ghosts, but secrets?
And like she was
No.
like, hey, I was like, Peter said anything about
Yeah,
me? Like
she
so
sucks.
7th grade. I was like,
At
Dana,
first,
stop.
I wrote Dana Barrett, new role model, because I thought she was just a single lady who got pregnant and then had a baby, and I was like, that's cool. But then I realized that was not the case, and she still sucks.
Still, that bitch makes the worst decisions. She is a tease, a cock tease.
And she like flips on the dime. She's like, I mean, this is later in the synopsis, but she's like, don't tell Peter I was here. Don't ever tell him my name ever again. I never want to see him. And then
She
like
is
5
just-
seconds later, she's like, let's make a toast to how great you are, Peter.
It's fucking weird. I'm sorry. She's a weird cock tease, and I don't think her and Peter belong together
No,
for many
it's the-
reasons, but they both could do better. Dana's a snot,
dumbest
and Peter is
relationship.
just not a stable person that you can date. Let's be real here.
Yeah.
He's someone you hang around with and have a good time.
Yeah.
Though he is good with babies.
Yes. Okay. So Egon's like, sure, I won't tell Peter. And then later at Ray's Occult bookstore, they decide a good time to review the notes on Dana's case is when Peter strolls into the store. Like, hello, guys, keep the notes out of it. Like, if Peter's in the store, be like, let's look at these later. We don't look at them now. But anyways, it moves the story along because then Peter's like, hey, what you doing? And they're like, well, Dana wanted us to look at something. And he's like, oh, really? So he goes over to her apartment. They check out the baby. Nothing's unusual. They don't see any red flags. Next is what happens.
Sorry, I'm just looking up the pneumatic transit system. I wanted to do research.
All right, I guess I'm on my own.
No, I'm here. Okay, so
They check out the baby. He's fine.
They check out the baby. He's fine, and then they look. Oh, then they're doing like the sensory thing where the carriage had went. So
It was over the pile of ooze.
Was it where? No,
the pool of ooze.
No,
Tunnel
because
of ooze.
she goes to where she started the carriage, and that is where the carriage ran over
I think
the
it
ooze.
stopped directly over that hole.
Maybe you're right, maybe
where
you're
they
right.
dig the hole.
So they figure out there's like they're all little gadgets. They have these sensors that are going like off the charts on where the carriage had stopped, I guess. So they said, brilliant idea. Let's get some construction equipment, jackhammers, if you will, and just chew up the ground like in the middle of the night on First Avenue. So they make this big hole and they send Ray down there. Poor little Ray always draws the short straw. And he finds this, what used to be what is called the pneumatic subway. So this was actually like the first go, I think, at the subway system in New York. It's actually like a historical thing. I was just reading on it. It's like, it was pneumatic means it runs on fluids. So I don't know, like maybe it was like water, steam powered or something.
Okay.
I don't know. Wine. So anyway, it's like, so old abandoned what was like a subway station. But so there's like these tunnels that were where the train was supposed to go. And there's now this pink ooze slime running through like a river under the city. So Ray like gets a little sample of it, and then unfortunately the actual construction workers in New York come and the cops and they bust them and then they get arrested. Oops,
they did it again.
Yep. So then they go with all their stuff. So they have like all their little proton packs and the ooze, and they are now on trial.
I think it was like a separate day. I mean,
Well,
they
that happened really fast.
They
brought
brought
the evidence.
Well, in the movie, but yeah, it was the evidence. Well, trials take forever, so who knows how long that was. But yeah, they're at the trial. They've got the ooze. They've got the proton packs. The ooze is in like a little beaker as evidence, so it's kind of like on this table. And this judge is very angry and very he seems a little anti-ghost, to be honest. Very skeptical.
Very angry man.
Which I find very frustrating because 5 years ago, they had to have remembered, hey, remember when that giant marshmallow man like attacked the city?
Right. And so they tell everyone the story of why the Ghostbusters are like hard on their luck now, because I think first of all, like the ghost sort of disappeared once, you know, that initial Gozerson or whatever was happening there happened, and then basically like the ghosts like sort of went away, right? So that was like part of it. But also they tell you that they were sued by all these different, like the city sued them and somebody
there was
else.
a lot of damage to things, I'm sure, which I guess they held them responsible for.
They saved the world. And like what I never understood about the Ghostbusters like world is that it's because it's contained to Manhattan. Like, what is the world, like, what is the country and, like, the world think? Is it, like, and this is the same in this one where it's just solely, like, all around Manhattan. And it's, like, the end of the world, but, like, only Manhattan knows about it?
Because it's not like New York's the only place with ghosts.
No.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, the judge doesn't believe them. He's yelling.
Yeah.
As he's yelling, the ooze is starting to bubble. The goo is bubbling. So they can tell that as there's more negative kind of energy in the room, the goo is getting more and more violent. Finally, it erupts and turns into two ghosts that were previously sentenced to the electric chair. The Scolari brothers, who were sentenced to the electric chair by this asshole judge. And then he's like, all right, I'll revoke the order that you can never bust ghosts anymore. Just get rid of them. So that means essentially they're back to business. Cue the montage of the Ghostbusters. The Ghostbusters back in business.
Right. So really good montage to, wait, is it to the Bobby Brown song? No,
I think it's the original or a different song. We don't know, but it's a montage nevertheless. So they're back in the saddle. So we see a couple good shots of the ghosts.
Yep.
Good times.
And we'll talk about this later about like the same beats, right? So it's like in the background you have like the Dana Barrett story of like her, like what's going on with her shit. And then you have them like back in the ghost world.
This is her thing.
So.
Something traumatic happens to Dana Barrett, and then the Ghostbusters get famous, and then she's always like watching them on TV and is like, yay! I mean, even though you're like, hello, what happened to the trauma? But no, has she learned nothing? Don't put your guard down. Hello.
Well, right. So it's behind the scenes. So Dana is a art restorer. So I guess like she took a break from being a professional cellist when she had the baby. She can't play the cello when she's pregnant, too fat. I don't know. And she went to her backup career, which is magically an art restorer, which is like, what? I don't think you can just like have that as like a side hobby. It's not like
a fallback career.
Your fallback career is like working at Barnes and Noble
or like a temporary job. Yeah, it's very odd.
Like, I'm gonna be an art restorer. That takes like years to fucking do. It's not a joke.
It's odd.
So this painting gets brought in. She works at like the Met or whatever, and it's this painting of this Carpathian like what is he?
Terrible
like,
person.
Terrible person. Basically, like a
Vigo the Carpathian.
Vigo the Carpathian. So the lead restorer guy is this guy named Janos, who is also Carpathian, and he's like all excited about the painting. Yeah,
that's what it said.
Yeah. Even though when Peter asks him, "Where are you from?"
Well, how do you know he's a
Upper
Carpathian?
West Side? Well,
how do you know he's a
That's
Carpathian?
what it said in the trivia.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like that actor made this whole backstory for him, and like that's why he was familiar with that painting and like knew who he was and like all the stuff.
Okay.
Anyway, so the painting is like soup creepy. Dana is like, "What the fuck is with that painting? It keeps like looking at me, making weird faces. I feel like the painting is watching me." So she invites, or Peter shows up one day at the museum, and she's like telling him about it. So it like puts a bug in Peter's ear. He tells Egon. Egon does some research. And they pull up that like spirit. Well, it's not the spirit guide, but it's something similar to that, right? It's like magicians, warlords, and like something. So they find out that he was like a really bad dude, born in 1500, died in 1601. So he lived to be like 101 years old. But he didn't just die like of old age. He was like stabbed, drowned, blah blah blah. Sort of a take, almost like on Rasputin from the Romanov kind of Russian history. Evil dude, let's say.
A real bad dude.
Yeah. So, and then you in the beginning, so we missed this part, like, you know that the painting is evil because he basically, like, enchants Janos.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's, like, a little possessed. No big deal. So then Vigo, in his possession of Janos. No one knows how to say it. It's like a reoccurring joke in the movie. I know, but like everybody in the movie is like Yashwas.
Well, if you look at that name, any of those
it's like JANOSZ or something.
The SZ is something you don't see, obviously.
It's very confusing. Anyway,
Western
so Vigo's
stuff.
like, listen, I need a baby to return back to my my form. Please find me a baby that I can possess or whatever. Some evil plan, yada, yada, yada. So he's like, oh, I know a baby, like baby Oscar, Dana's baby. Like, I'm going to get him, no doubt. So he does, so that's his plan. So Dana's like back at home, everything's cool. She's like, oh, let's give you a bath, which this whole movie is just pretty much the reason why we are now super crazy about babies and safety, because it's like the old carriages, just plop the baby on Peter Venkman's bed in a Jets jersey as a diaper, and then for the bath, she's like filling the bathtub up full. She was gonna like fill it up full, and then she was gonna get in it too.
No. She had put a little seat in there. That's how you used to bathe babies.
Oh,
they
I didn't see
have
the
their own
seat.
little bed.
I didn't see the seat.
No, it was like a weird. It looked like one of those foam fingers that you have at like football games.
Oh, okay, all right,
but it was a baby.
Okay, I thought she was just filling up the tub and was gonna like plop
Dana
them
Barrett, despite her questionable choices on many levels, I think is an okay mom.
Sure. Okay. So she's filling up the tub, and then they're getting ready to get in the tub, and then we see this pink ooze coming out of the faucet, and it's like pooling at the bottom, and then it transforms into this giant, like, what kind of looks like a sperm whale, and it comes out of the tub and is like, rah, and she's like, nah, and then runs away with the baby, naked baby,
If
runs
you're
away
Dana Barrett,
in her
aren't
coat.
you like, man, do I have bad luck with apartments?
That's what I
like,
said.
What the fuck?
But in this case, it wasn't the apartment so much as that Janos was trying to like get the baby. So they were like, I don't know if Vigo could be like, all right, that's the baby. Let me triangulate his location
That
and
guy
send the
is,
ooze
like,
directly to
fucking
him. It was very
magical.
confusing.
I mean, he was a magician, so.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, so Dana books it, goes to Peter's house. He's like, great, my dream has come true.
And of course, Peter's the only house she can go to. Like, bitch, get some friends. What is going on here? She like has been out of contact with him for how many years?
It's very odd.
He's the only one that she can go to.
She hasn't made friends with any art restorers. Like,
she's so sketch.
Give me a break.
Sketch.
We're like, down with Dana Barrett. Anyway, so he calls the guys. They go over to her apartment and like investigate. They find a trail of the ooze, like suspicious. So they're like, all right, let's go in the tunnel actually and like figure it out. Like, what's the deal? So Winston, Ray, and Egon go in the tunnel while Peter and Dana are on a date. Because
It's not a date,
she
it's just
caves
dinner.
into his like sexy
And that's the
eyes
other
or
thing. Remember when
whatever.
she came home? She's like, it was not a date. It was just dinner. And she's like the sexiest dress on. I'm like,
And she spent the whole time being like, a toast to the best man I've ever met in my whole life. Like, so fucking weird. Anyways, so the three guys are in the tunnel. They fall into the ooze. They find out that the tunnel of ooze is trailing directly to the museum where the Vigo painting is. So they're like, oh shit, I think this is like concentrated evil that's all pooling to one location. We have a situation here. So they try to alert like the mayor about it, but then his little underling, forget his name, but
Let's call him Russell.
his name is, we're calling him Russell because it's Russell from Wayne's World. It's basically the same character, except doesn't have the switch to like a good guy at the end.
Oh, but he does. Remember, because he's in like the crowd at the end.
That doesn't count.
The
He just got
very end.
he just got drunk because he was depressed. That doesn't count. Anyway, so he's like, these guys are crazy. I'm going to commit them. So he commits them to a mental institution. Uh-oh, we're out of luck. However, things start going south when this negative energy starts expelling all the ghosts. As we saw in the courtroom, it creates like a bolt of energy, which makes the ghosts come out. I don't know. I'm confused.
Yeah, it was just the slime was just everywhere, right? And it was just like
Yeah,
oozing
but, like,
over everything.
why?
And then it had all the negative stuff in it. So then it was making all these.
So all
stuff
these
come up.
crazy, all these great scenes happen, which we'll talk about. The mayor's freaking out. He's like, where the Ghostbusters? Get me the Ghostbusters.
Lenny.
Lenny and Russell's like, yeah, I sent them to the mental institution because they were crazy. And Lenny's like, what? Like, you're fired. Give me the Ghostbusters. So they get the Ghostbusters. They go. They're like, what are we going to do? We need enough positive energy to turn the goo positive, because they discover that if it plays like happy music, a la Jackie Wilson, the goo turns positive, and then they can get a positive charge out of it, and everything's cool. So they're like, all right, we need a big symbol that will like unite people and make everybody very happy. What do they pick to put the goo in, sweetie?
The St. Louis Arch.
No. I was so dumb. It'd be like stuck on everything. It'd be like, it's like
Other
trying to move a
example.
couch into like a tiny house. You're like, what
Mount
the fuck?
Rushmore.
Too many people. It's too big of a crowd.
Epcot, the giant ball.
Dangerous. We just like roll into the buildings. Not over bowling.
The Statue of Liberty.
Yes, that's it. So they get the Statue of Liberty. They shoot this gun. It looks like a T-shirt gun with goo, and they're just like shooting it with goo. And then they play a Jackie Wilson song, not sung. It's a different version.
Yeah, that was a bummer. Forgot about that. They use like a late 80s version of it, which the woman has a lovely voice, but
It's very hip. Yeah, it's very. It's a little more snappy. Whatever. So the Statue of Liberty is like, great, I want to dance. So this part kind of freaks me out because the Statue of Liberty turns into like a person.
Yeah.
And she can move her head and like look at
She
people.
is like a personality. And
Yeah,
you're like,
it's kinda-
what personality would the Statue
It's
of
a little
Liberty have?
scary. Would she be French? Like, it's confusing for me. But so they walk her to the museum, and everybody's like, cool. It's New Year's Eve, by the way.
Right.
So everyone's all jazzed up already. And then there's a giant, it's the Statue of Liberty. It's not a giant Statue of Liberty.
Excuse me. I mean, basically like best New Year's Eve ever.
So,
you know how
yeah.
every New Year's Eve you're like, God, it's like never as good as you think. For these people, like this was probably like, the best New Year's ever. Except for Dana Barrett. That's unfortunate.
This is a bad New Year's because on her New Year's Eve, she came home to find that baby Oscar had pulled a Sarah from Adventures in Babysitting and went out the window. And baby Oscar's like, do on his two little baby
Doesn't even
legs.
walk
He
yet.
hasn't learned how to walk yet, but he's just like hanging out on a ledge. And she's like, oh my God, holy fuck. So she like goes out the ledge to try to get him. Meanwhile, this like ghost spectral nanny comes flying like dee, right? Yeah. They plays that music, dee, and it's fucking Janos in a nanny costume with scary red eyes, and he takes the baby in another old fashioned carriage, which we need to stop with those. It's just like we have to get.
dangerous.
They're so bad, especially spectral ones. I don't trust those ones at all.
Not those spectral carriages.
So he takes him to the museum. Dana's like, so she goes after them. She finds this like majestic candle altar, like all these taper candle, like it's
How do
very
they stand up
dangerous.
straight?
Right? How do they stand up straight? How does she not catch herself on fire when she's like easing her way into the circle? I'm like, girl, watch out. But so they're getting ready to like complete this possession of Oscar to Vigo, and they're like, oh fuck, what's gonna happen? We have to save him. But don't worry, because at that moment, the Ghostbusters arrive in the Statue of Liberty's crown in the ceiling, break the glass. They descend on ropes or whatever. It's very exciting. And there's a battle. Things start going south, right?
Well, it's like, again, like sort of beat for the original. So like they disengage Janosch. Like he's done. They spray him with the positive slime. He's was never a threat anyway, right? But then like Vigo is now out of the painting, but he's like not anywhere. So he's like spirits around or like whatever. Yeah. He wraps this like weird hose thing on Dana, so she can't hold the baby anymore. So like Peter has the baby and then puts him kind of in a safe place.
Like, this will be a safe place, like behind a box, most obvious hiding spot I've ever seen.
And then Vigo does materialize. So now he's like, real. But so did you not need the baby?
Yeah,
like,
that's what I said. I'm like, what?
So he's all like, and like growling this weird like lion growl. And he kind of like looks like a lion because he has this like long blonde hair and it's like kind of like pressed down sort of snout. And the guys are all like using their stuff on him, the proton packs and like the positive ooze. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't do anything.
It's not doing anything.
And he like he sends bolts of whatever to them and they are kind of like frozen.
They can't move.
They can't move. So then he like finds where Oscar is and he gets him and holds him up and he's like, we're going to complete this transformation or whatever, and starts to like put himself in the baby's body. But like, if he did that, then would he magically like be a live person and grow up, or would he be just like an evil baby?
I think he'd have to be an evil baby because Janosch like says something to Dana. He's like, "We'll be married, and then we can raise baby Vigo together."
Right. So like, he was just like brainwash
That'd be
everybody.
So fucking weird. Like,
that'd be a cool movie.
Baby Vigo. Oh boy, yeah, that could be fun, some fun.
But luckily, the great positive atmosphere of the lovely city of New York comes to the rescue. They're singing "Old Lang Syne" outside, and Vigo fucking flips out.
For the city of New York, it's business as usual. Yes. Nothing will stop them from just celebrating New Year's Eve. They're like, we're gonna sing the song. We're gonna sing the fucking song. I don't care.
Oh, the acquaintance lie forgotten days. No one knows the words to that song.
I do. Of days of Old Lang Syne. It's beautiful. But
that's beautiful.
So that like fucks up Vigo, and he's like, no, positive energy, no. He like twitches, and then the Ghostbusters are able to move. Dana's able to move. They rescue Oscar, and then they use their proton packs, and then they're finally able to bust open this like giant jello mold that the goo has created around the museum, and Vigo is banished. Everything is good.
The end.
Everything's back to normal. That's pretty much it, except for some reason Vigo, who painted that painting of them at the end?
No,
I'm still confused.
It was just the positive energy that created
the energy was so positive that it painted a beautiful portrait of the 4 Ghostbusters with baby Oscar in the middle. No Dana, sorry, bad luck, girl.
Yeah, sorry, nobody likes you anyway.
and that's the flick, you guys.
Woo!
And then we get a new song throughout this by Bobby Brown, which is pretty excellent, and it goes a little something like this.
But I guess we're
gonna have to take control. Ooh.
Now it's up to us. We've got to let it go. We got.
It should be like, I got a cameo in the movie.
It's not a movie for the late 80s unless
Bobby Brown
is in it and sings on the soundtrack.
And is in it during the part in the movie where his song is playing over the movie.
That's like the Madonna syndrome we talked about on A League of Their Own. Like, was Madonna able to be in a movie and they weren't like, hey, can you sing a song for the soundtrack?
It's like Will Smith.
Will Smith too, yes.
But then he stopped when he got all serious and he's like, no, I don't want to make a sound to the pursuit of happiness. This is a serious fucking film.
Unless he did. You don't know that, do you?
Pursuit of
I was gonna say like or like Ali or something.
Oh, he did do one for that. I'm the greatest.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yep. That theory smashed to bits.
Oh no, what about oh my god, your favorite one? The
Tell the truth. Tell the truth. I will make a song for that. It'll be like a techno remix of him just saying that line.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth. I hope you guys know what we're talking about. The concussion movie with the football players. It's like a real story about This is
a serious movie, but I just like that line a lot. And I like to use it in everyday life.
Ghostbusters.
But anyways, okay. So I'm pretty tired after that synopsis. So I think we should take just like a short little break. I need to drink some wine.
Team out. And FYI, just want to let you guys know we've sold out.
I will not bow down to any corporate sponsor. But yeah, so why don't we just do a little, just a little sweetie advertising.
Yeah.
Let it roll. Sweetie advertising. Yeah.
Buy the shit.
Hey, sweetie, I like your glasses.
Ah, thanks. My contacts are really bothering me, so I had to wear my glasses today, but I really love these glasses.
Fabulous. Where did you get them?
So I got them at Warby Parker. Warby Parker is amazing. Have you heard of this?
Maybe, but remind me.
So with Warby Parker, you go online, you pick any 5 frames you want, and then they will send them to you for free.
For free?
Yeah. So then you get to try them on. I did it at work, and I modeled them for all my coworkers. They told me which frames fit my face the best. I picked that one out online, bought it, and then just returned the 5 frames that they sent me. And then a couple days later, I got my actual glasses with, my prescription and everything. Brilliant.
Wow, what a cool thing. Really takes the going to the eye doctor stupidness out of the equation, huh?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's an amazing, amazing process. I recommend it to anybody, and I love these glasses. I've had them for at least 5 years by now, and I don't think I'll go anywhere else.
Cool. And we have a special treat for you listeners of Large Marge Sent Us, where Warby Parker is offering a free 5-day home try-on to give you the opportunity to check out their glasses. Pretty freaking cool. So to get your home try-on today, go to warbyparkertrial.com/largemarge. Again, that's warbyparkertrial.com/largemarge for your free 5-day home try-on. Keep wearing those glasses and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
Yeah, glasses are cool.
Your love lifted me higher than I've ever been lifted before.
And we're back. Thank you guys for staying with us after we sold out and all.
Hope you bought some glasses.
Yeah, glasses are pretty cool. Yeah. Anyways, so now we can get back into things. Ghostbusters 2.
Okay,
Sweetie,
so
thoughts?
first, I think we should just start with alumni and get out of the way because I always
So
forget
there's-
this part, and I think it's really
there's
informative.
just so now because we've done so many movies, I think the lists are just getting longer and longer.
Oh
but-
yeah, well that's the beauty of it. So I'm not going to go over the entire Ghostbusters cast from the Ghostbusters.
We get it.
That's over. However, newbies, I forget this actress' name, but Mikey's mom from Goonies.
Mm-hmm. I forget her name also.
Yep. But she was when the beginning, Winston and Ray are doing like birthday parties as kind of like clowns do in their Ghostbusters uniforms. She's the mom of the party. So very cool. As we said, Russell is the assistant to the mayor. Very cool. Rick Moranis in the original Ghostbusters was just another shout out again because he's amazing, and like who doesn't fucking love Louis Tully? Like amazing role. And then randomly Ben Stein we noticed
For like a second in the mayor's boardroom or whatever is just hanging out there doing numbers or
so
whatever.
he's been in Ferris Bueller,
Right.
as the teacher. So yeah, if you add all the Ghostbusters cast, that's a crazy amount of
Bill Murray's brother.
alumni.
This is the one. Remember,
Oh.
we thought he was in the first one, but he wasn't.
Brian Doyle Murray, you cannot get enough of that guy. No, fucking amazing. And then there was this scene where Brian Doyle Murray was walking with Russell, and I was like, they were both in Wayne's World because Brian Doyle Murray was Noah from Noah's Arcade, and then Russell was Russell. Yeah, so that like blew my mind. And that was only like what was Wayne's World 92? So they would meet again 2 years later,
Totes.
3 years later. So
Totes.
sweet alumni,
Sweeties.
Yeah, good times. What do you think?
So this is obviously we have a strange relationship to sequels because I think that we were a little older when the sequels of our favorite movies came out. So I think they were the ones that we happened to watch more often than the original. I don't think that's necessarily the case with Ghostbusters, but I'm just explaining sequels in general and how we feel about them.
Yeah.
And why we, for instance, have a strange connection to Weekend at Bernie's too. Like, it's not my fault, okay? It's just happened to be that way.
Yeah.
But I loved this movie when I was little, but it really scared me. And I think it scared me more than the first one.
Right.
After I tallied
there's
all the
more,
Sweetie's scary scenes,
like CGI.
I thought to myself,
Good
thank
stuff.
God I didn't see this in the movie theater because I would have been terrified.
Yeah. It's interesting watching. So I agree with you because this one I think we would have seen more like on the onset of it coming out. And then now I've seen the original the first Ghostbusters like so much more just because it is a very much for me better film. And we can like go into this now, I guess, if you want, because okay, so if we're talking about comedy sequels, or I guess sequels in general, but I guess mostly like the genre that we're covering are these sort of comedies from the 80s, right? So I think what makes a good sequel is, like I said in the beginning here, same cast, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what they did. It was when sequels are called upon to not really continue the story, but just because people liked what was going on and want that feeling again from that movie. Mm-hmm. And that's why they always make the sequels with the exact same beats in it. So while this story is like okay, it doesn't touch, I don't think, at all the original story, which I felt was like legit creepy. And I think I said when we did the original Ghostbusters movie podcast, how it was believable to me. Like, I believe there could have been some like weird dude in the turn of the century who made this like building and whatever. Mm-hmm. I don't believe as much that there's this like possessed painting. So like the story for me is like doesn't ring true. And for me, this movie is just too polished. What I love about the original Ghostbusters, it was like this ragtag sort of team of guys. Mm-hmm. None of the effects were that good. They kind of weren't supposed to be. That wasn't the point. It was mostly about those guys and like that kind of relationship and sort of that kind of cool story of what was going on with like the Gozer and like all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So for this one, for me, it becomes, I mean, down to the Bobby Brown cameo, right? Like too freaking polished. It's a great movie in the sense it does exactly what a sequel needs to do, is that you like miss those guys and you're like, I want them back in my life. But is it a good movie to the caliber that Ghostbusters was?
I mean, certainly not. It has its moments, right, and it's very funny in parts. But unfortunately, with this one, it came out after the release of the Ghostbusters cartoon, The Real Ghostbusters, which got a lot of kids hooked on it. And I'm sure many kids were hooked on the movie when it first came out, the original, but the cartoon series was made especially for children. Right. So it's not a movie that children just happened to see if their parents were cool enough to let them watch it. This was something specifically made for them. So because of that, they needed to kind of dumb down Ghostbusters 2 to make it more kid-friendly. So that, unfortunately, meant taking out a lot of the swears. The Ghostbusters were no longer allowed to smoke. There weren't as many sexual jokes, although they were there, but very cleverly hidden.
Right, and I'm happy about that. And then they had to like kind of mimic some of the stuff, well, at least one thing in the cartoon. So they changed the style of Janine, who was sort of like marmy with these big glasses.
And that's why they kept Slimer in the second one too, because he was in the cartoon also, and Lewis, I think.
Yeah, and so that feels a little selling out to me. I think they did a good job working with that and still trying to make it like true to like what they wanted it to be. So I do like applaud them for that. But I don't think I don't know if anyone's going to be like, Ghostbusters 2 is better than Ghostbusters 1.
No, but certainly some of the moments in Ghostbusters 2 stick out more for me than the first one. And this is just individual moments. It's not on the whole. So I'll just talk about those now, I think. So the main one for me is the part at the end when all the ghosts are kind of coming into being after the ooze has sprouted all these ghosts again. So the main one that I still think about to this day is the part where they're like, the Titanic just arrived. And then you see this ghostly form of the Titanic with obviously like the giant hole in the hull. And then all these very scary, dead, like rotting people in fancy, like old fashioned clothes walking along the pier and into New York City as if they just landed in New York as it was supposed to and are now walking to where they need to go.
And that's like my favorite ghost-y like stuff of the Ghostbusters series. So remember that part where there's the big arch in what is it, Union Square or whatever, that like there's that weird monster or whatever that is like in the arch and you're like, what the hell is that? So when it does like weird like ghosts that aren't anything kind of things, I'm like, why do they do that? Just do ones that are people. Like the one that was the runner was actually like hilarious.
And scary.
Like that is so much real, like monsters are not that scary. I think more people are scared of like ghosts who are people. I don't know. Don't you think like ghosts that are people
I think
are more
it
scary?
seems more real.
Yes.
Like it seems more realistic that somebody who was a marathon runner died maybe on a marathon run and was like, I got to keep running. I just want to stay in shape. I'm a ghost, but I want to stay in shape and keep my figure.
Right.
But nobody's like, oh yeah, there's a big like demon worm that just like hangs out in the park.
Or even the convicts who were in the electric chair. Like what I didn't like about those that they didn't look like people anymore. They were like kind of like
they
weird.
were Slimer-esque.
Yeah. Or they look like, remember the ghosts in Casper?
Yes.
They look just like that.
They look like those.
And like
ghosts.
I understand why they did Casper to kind of do like a little bit of a gimmick or like whatever like that. But that's like I think we said in the first one, like our least favorite part of that is like, it's just like
fucking
kind of
ghosts.
gimmicky and stupid.
Totally. But the Titanic is just such a creepy scene.
Yeah. Or even like the one where the woman's mink
Yes.
coat. That's so clever.
So clever.
And I read that they actually wanted to do that in the first one as like when all the ghosts were coming out, and they were going to do it on a fashion show, like on a runway.
Because I always, when I think of the first one, I'm always waiting for that scene of the mink coat to happen, and then I'm like, oh, it's the second one. So this lady like walks in her high heels on a puddle of ooze, and then her mink coat comes to life, and all the animals on her coat are like, and like she freaks out, takes the coat off, and then you see the coat like running away because all the little critters are like dee, 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 dee.
Or the ghost train, like that's in like
ghost
that part is so cool.
Yeah, that
like
part's
So they're in the
cool.
subway and like all these like weird kind of things are like happening to them because it's all like creepy, and the ooze is like right next to them. So then they hear this train and Winston's like, there's a train, and Ray's like, oh my god, please, this tracks have been dead for 50 years, like there's no active lines running through here. And then they're like, it just feels like it's getting closer. And then Egon's like, oh, it's probably above us. You know, that kind of like horror movie rift when you're like trying to convince yourself it's not happening. And then it's like, chugga, 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 chugga. You can kind of hear it. And then it's a fucking like steam train though. And it was supposedly like this Albany line that derailed and all these people died. So it was like coming through, and Winston, it just like goes through Winston. It's so good.
That's good.
Egon's like, did you catch the number on it? He's like, I think I missed it. Sorry, I missed it. Like, yeah. So I love like the real like ghost elements of that. I mean, it is so though. Like as we were doing the synopsis, I just realized how beat for beat it is so much like the other one.
True.
But as we said, like that I think is really smart when you're doing a sequel because you're doing what the public wants, right? You don't want something like you're going with what worked. That worked the first time. Like, let's do a similar story with the exact same beats. So I get it. I don't fault them for that. Again, it was Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis who wrote the story for this. Like, love those dudes. It's their baby. So,
But yeah, there's some great moments, but the story ultimately is weak, and I think that is responsible for why it's not as universally loved as the first Ghostbusters. Do you have a specific favorite part of this that sticks out to you the most, or is it all kind of just blurred together?
yeah, it does feel blurred together because it's like all the same. You know, like I said, it's beat for beat like the old movie, the original or the first one. So it's like it's almost hard. It's like a B scenes of all those favorite scenes, right? So you're like, okay, what was my favorite scene from the first one? That the hotel, right? Like so good. That one where like, remember I told you, and
With
it's
the
like
camera
the
shot,
camera shot, like love that. This one, it's not, and I don't know. There's not that like threat. Not threat. I don't know. I don't know.
There's not as many standout scenes, I guess, from this that you can be like, I love that scene. It's iconic. One scene I would like to bring up is when they make the toaster dance and they put the ooze in to show Peter and Winston how they've discovered that the ooze can actually put off a positive charge. So they put a little ooze in a toaster, and then they put on Jackie Wilson, Sweetie's favorite, and then the toaster dances, but it's really just like bopping around. I don't know. So then they're explaining how they did all these kinds of experiments to find out what kind of positive energy would elicit this kind of response. And at one point, Peter's like, "You didn't sleep with it, did you?" And then Ray and Egon like look at each other really weird and like shifty eyed, and you're like, "Sick! Did they stick their dick in that ooze?"
So I have my notes. Are they jerking off in the slime?
Yeah, it seems like
American
it.
Pie style.
Seems like it.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the thing. It's like what saves this movie is the acting, right? Like those guys are still like so great, and all their lines and everything they do is like, you know, Ray's still like the little like chubby little sweet natured guy. Like Egon still has his smart lines. Venkman's still hilarious with his dry wit, you know, like in Rick Moranis. Like, so all that, like, so much work. So it's really, for me, the cast that, like, just kills this movie. Like, they're just so good together. They just hit it out of the ballpark. But, in general, like, I wrote this part down because I did really like it. So they're, like, in the courtroom, and it's very similar to the Slimer scene, right? In the first one where they're at the hotel. So that's, like, the beat for beat of this movie. When they're in the courtroom and they have to convince everybody, like, they're real Ghostbusters. And they're, you know, the judge signs the thing or whatever so they can do the ghosts again, and they get their proton packs and they go. And so they light them up, right? And they go, Venkman goes, "Doe," and then Ray goes, "Ray," and then Egon goes, "Egon," and Venkman just looks at him like, you know, but it like just fit.
Yeah.
So funny. And I sang along with them. I thought that was cool.
It was very cool. Yeah. The scene that I always remember and go back to in this movie is the nanny Janosch. So a little bit of sweetie confusion for me. I didn't realize that was Janosch. I thought it was just a nanny ghost, which I think would have been scarier, honestly, if they just found some like freaky ass old lady dressed up as an old ass nanny like coming through the sky to take Oscar. I think that would have been 20 times scarier than fucking Janosch in a wig and a nanny costume. So a little disappointed that I have now realized that is Janosch, but still such a creepy scene.
Yeah, I mean, and all the stuff around Vigo the Carpathian, like whoever that actor was like, they actually didn't. So we read this in the trivia. Like, he went into the movie being like, okay, they're using my image and voice, and like, this is like, you know, I'm in this movie. And then they dubbed his voice in. He didn't know until he saw the movie, right? With Max.
It said that. Oh, I
yeah, Max von Sydow, who is in The Exorcist, and very like interesting looking fella. Remember we were talking about The Exorcist, and he was like they put like super old makeup on,
like
right?
The real awesome makeup of The Exorcist is actually the makeup they did for him, because he was only like 40 years old or something when they filmed that, and he's supposed to be like this old priest coming to do this exorcism, and I had no idea until I did research and was like, holy shit, like that's really what he looked like.
That guy's an age, because like by the time you were researching him, he like looked like that still, and you're like, what? Yeah, but he's like such a great actor, so they put his voice in for the Vigo voice, which is pretty cool. Yeah. But anyway, so like, but then there's these parts where like Vigo transforms, and he's like almost like, what's that like app on the iPad where you can like make your eyes really funny? It's kind of like that. Yeah. And it's almost like a pig face or something. I don't know. Like, that's like what nightmares are made of. Like, just like
what yours are made of, clearly
terrifying.
And then your least favorite part was when at the end with Ray.
Yeah. So, and Sweetie forgot this part. So there's this part where like Ray is like doing some sort of like thing next to the painting. Like, this is like midway through the movie, and he gets kind of possessed by Vigo. So I think Vigo does this thing where he like basically like plants something in you, so then he can like get back to you like later on and possess you or something. So at the end, like, they think they beat him, and he's like in the painting, Vigo is, and they're like, woohoo, and like Venkman starts kind of like messing with him and just being like, oh, we beat you. And Ray goes up to the painting and gets possessed, and then Vigo's able to take over Ray, and he's like Ray's body with like the Ghostbuster jumpsuit, but with like the fat head pig face. It's really scary.
It's very scary.
And he's covered in slime.
Yeah.
And it's all like,
it's pretty gross. I totally forgot about it. Maybe I blocked it out because it was too scary. I don't know.
Yeah. No, definitely. Like, tons more scary parts of this. Yeah. But, I mean, they had more CGI. I read in the trivia that Bill Murray wasn't happy with how the film went because he thought they relied too much on the ghost stuff and CGI and not enough on them, which is what I just said, what I thought was what I loved about the first one.
That's true. That was the ticket. Yeah. Totally. So funny little fan theory that I read is that when this came out, many Ghostbuster fans were convinced that the father of Dana Barrett's child was actually Louis Tully, because they had a little moment together when they were possessed by the dogs up there on the rooftop making love. And they think that that's how Oscar was conceived. But really, did you watch the movie at all? Because it says literally the first thing you see, there's no opening credits. It just says 5 years later. So Oscar's only 9 months old. Put it together, folks. So that's not the case. I think it's more likely that Dana married somebody. She married a musician. We don't know who. somebody on Twitter, was it Megan or was it Jen and her books? Well, one of our top 2 fans, said that they always thought it was that, like, remember that, like, sniffling musician in the first one?
Yes, that's what I thought too.
Yeah. So they think that, like, it was probably him,
Yeah.
and then they got married, and then things fall apart or whatever. So I think that's probably more likely. But it's always been a question that I've had, is like, who is the baby daddy?
Yeah. Interesting that they like went that route, but I mean they had to, like, it fit in with the story. They needed a baby. Like, let's knock up the one female in the movie.
That's what we're here for. We got that.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh, and interesting, like that the message of this movie being like humanity has gone to shit. Like New York is like everyone is so mean and blah blah blah, and like. And I think that's always New York, so it's not like, oh, it's like a huge shock or anything like that. But interesting time, because I feel like that's what people are feeling like now.
Oh, I was going to say that. And during this time is when New York really started cleaning up its act. And Giuliani was kind of cleaning up New York. So I think it was probably the perfect time for that
Or was just about to
theme.
happen.
It was.
Right? What was Giuliani like? Just into the 90s, right?
Right, but I think it was just a timely, like, New York's not so bad, like, we still have all this positivity.
Right. Well, but
we can't
that's
let
the
it
thing,
go.
and like what is said about New York, but I find New York like actually like extremely friendly, and people will say that about Boston too, I guess. But really, like, I think like we are actually like a pretty friendly city. Like if something is wrong with you, like you can get people to help you. They're not gonna like step over you and stuff like that.
Well, it's like I mean, yeah, I agree, but you've been to Chicago. Apparently people are very nice in the Midwest. So I think it's different. And I think that there's just that, like, for instance, in Boston, nobody pays attention to anybody.
Yeah. Right.
Whereas there's probably more caring people.
But it depends on
these
what
other
you think is
cities.
unfriendly. Like, is that unfriendly that everyone like kind of minds their own business? What I find in places that are deemed like friendly, and this is probably because I'm from Boston, is that people in your fucking face all the time. Like they're constantly talking to you, and you're like, I don't want to talk to you.
Who's talking to you?
They always say hi. You don't know people, and they're like, hey, how are you? Like,
Who said that?
Oh, I remember I was in Bermuda. This is like a thing in Bermuda that people.
Oh, I thought you were talking about in Boston. I was like,
no.
what?
People will walk by you in Bermuda and like be like, hey, how are you? How's your day? And you're like, wait, do I know that person? Because that's just not something we like do here, right? And then on public transportation, they always say, so Boston, you like mind your own fucking business. You don't talk on the train, right?
Yep.
If someone talks to you in the train, they are not from here. Like, you know immediately.
Or they're crazy.
So if you go to public transportation in other places, people are like striking random conversations and shit like that. Like, you don't talk to people on the subway here. That is not the time for that.
I wouldn't be okay with it.
Exactly.
I have like at my old job when we'd have to ride the elevator up to like the 8th or the 9th floor wherever we worked, and if somebody like tried to make small talk with me in that elevator and I had no idea who they were, even if I did know who they were, I'd be like, oh my god, someone's talking to me, and then I'd be like really panicked the whole time, be like, yeah, that was the fun thing, I guess. Yeah. It's just very upsetting, and I understand. And like I went to the store last weekend, and this couple were like, hi, how's it going? And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I'm like, you can't talk to me.
And like, I don't mind that, but it's specifically for me, transit.
It's just odd.
I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm in my zone there. I'm going to and from work. It's a bad time when I'm going to work because I don't want to go to work. It's probably a bad time when I'm leaving because I just had a shitty day. So it's like, either side of that, I'm just not into like random combos. I'll have them. Remember that time that guy was like all up in my groove about like the crossword puzzle I was doing? That like old guy. And he was like helping me solve it.
Yeah.
And you just like walk to the other side of the train. You're like, later.
That's my MO. It's fine. It's what I do.
Anyways, so the message being here though, like humanity's gone to shit, and like they're like, what's gonna like rally everybody? And it's like the Statue of Liberty, which I think is like very cool. And I turned to Sweetie when we were watching it, and I was like, you know what? I think I take the Statue of Liberty for granted, because that is like a pretty freaking cool symbol for this country. It's beautiful, amazing sculpture. It's just like sitting there. And I just feel like whenever, you know, you're in doubt about this country, let's like leave politics out of this. But really, I'm not. Always look to the Statue of Liberty and be like, this is what we're fucking made of. It's
pretty great.
Like, right? And so watching this again made me like really happy, though sad, because how they think of the Statue of Liberty to use that symbol is no longer around.
Right. Because the way that they think of this is they look at the license plate of the Ecto-1, which is the old New York license plate that had the Statue of Liberty kind of in the middle. And it just made us think like, oh, shout out to the old New York license plate because that was pretty cool.
A cool license plate.
Now it's like a fucking ugly ass yellow with navy blue. I'm sick of license plates just being about colors. I think that Massachusetts. I think we have the worst one.
Yeah, we've never had a cool one.
Ours is white with red letters. Yeah. Cool.
We're the seat of the fucking revolution, and we don't have a cool license plate. We should have the coolest license plate.
Who can we talk to about this?
We should have a Minuteman on there. We should have a cannon. I don't know. Anything.
JFK. I mean, come on.
Give me
a break. But yeah, so I think we should work on that. But yeah, it really brought me back to the good old days. Yeah. Good times.
Yeah, that just screams 90s to me.
Totally.
New York license plate.
Totes.
The Empire State. cool, like logo or whatever you call that for that state too. Yeah. You know what Massachusetts is?
Our slogan?
Yeah.
The Bay State.
Yeah, that's okay.
Kind of dumb still.
Okay. And like, but Rhode Island is the ocean state, and you're like, what the fuck? You have like 2 feet of ocean.
Delaware is the first state. I'm like, good for you. No one cares.
No one cares. I know. That's so sad. But that's all they got. I'm in Delaware.
Exactly. But yeah, good times. So, anything else we're leaving out?
Oh my God. I
just want to say, we have to shout out to Meg C.
Whoop, whoop.
We were like, guess what sequel we're doing this week? And nobody guessed. Everybody was shooting out all these other cool sequels, and we were like, fuck, like, should we have done one of those other cool sequels?
I feel like this isn't everyone's favorite sequel, which I agree, and I think we've now come to that consensus that this isn't our favorite sequel.
No, but
far.
I still enjoy it.
Decent.
It still it's decent. It reminds me of a good time. Yeah. But I put out 2 hints on Twitter, and the first one was this movie was made, and I didn't say what year, because if you're a true Large Marge fan, you know what I'm talking about when I say
golden age of television,
movies. That this movie was made in what we deem to be the golden age.
I'm writing my book about it.
Of the 80s, which is the 1989. So many great movies came out on this year, so she knew that immediately. I think she got it on that one. She didn't even see my second hint, which was this movie is directed by the same director and stars the same stars. Yeah. And she got it before. She was like 1989, Ghostbusters 2.
Go Meg C.
So yes. Good job, Meg C.
Yeah, so we told her life size Vigo the Carpathian.
Coming to you.
Don't look it in the eyes. DM us your address.
Don't get possessed. Like, watch out.
That'd be pretty cool if we could make that, though.
They sell those. Probably. I think so. There was like a trend of GIFs that were like, or memes, where it was like, blank, blank looks like, and then they had a picture of Vigo the Carpathian. And I couldn't find the original one that I found, but there are all these mean ones. Like some like this woman in the news looks like Vigo the Carpathian.
Ouch. Assholes.
But I just thought it was very funny. So they do very funny. Oh, this is just Viggo Mortensen. Fuck, forget it.
He's the new Vigo. I mean, there was no Viggo Mortensen when this came out.
That's true. But if you want a good time,
he was alive.
Google looks like Vigo the Carpathian, and then just look at these memes that come up. Oh, so this is the woman. It's like, who is this?
Oh, that's awesome.
Lady from TV. looks like bedhead. Looks like bedhead Vigo after he's all like fucked up.
Like People's Court.
Yep. Yeah. People's Court, top star. But yeah, it's very funny. Yeah, that would be a good one.
Oh my God. Oh,
so yeah, good times. So anything else before we wrap it up?
No, but yeah, good. I'm glad. This was fun. I'm glad we jumped into sequel land.
We've it.
Been wanting to for a while, and like I put on my Instagram post, we obviously have a lot of sequels to cover. Ones that we like really love, so that'll be good. And there's ones that we actually prefer over the original, so that'll be fun to do those.
Oh, I couldn't think. I was like, look who's talking to. I was like, wait. What is it? Okay. Yep. Look who's talking to. Great sequel. Soon to come.
Yeah.
To a podcast near you.
Yep.
Anyways, so thank you guys for listening. Thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for staying with us even though we sold out.
Yeah.
Buy some glasses. Thanks.
Just because we sold out doesn't mean we're not like your favorite
Still
podcasters
awesome.
ever. So keep listening. Keep liking our shit. We love you so much.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.